Yes, you can make a movie, your own movie, whatever choice you have. Make your life movie, make someone else movie, but you are the one who is going to make it and produce it. This is Now Tell Us. I'm your host, Anthony Moirore. At Now Tell Us, we have guests come and tell us stories. They come and inspire us. They come and educate us on a subject. And always we are having a great time. Today, we have a special guest with us. His name is Bennett. And he's going to join us shortly to tell us that you don't have to wait for Hollywood. So, without taking one more minute, I am going to invite you to join me as we go and meet Bo together. Please remember to share this video with all your friends. Remember to comment and ask questions or just say hi. We appreciate every interaction from you. So, here we go to meet Bo. Hello, Bo.
Hello, how are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Excellent, thank you.
Good to have you here with us at Now Tell Us.
Thank you.
Yes, and I can hear some music in your background. Now-
The music of my cute little parakeet who only makes noise when I'm on the phone or doing an interview.
oh, that's good. So we're gonna have a great one today. Now, where are you?
I'm in the Boston area, right outside of Boston, Massachusetts.
That's wonderful. And how is it there
Oh, it's
today?
beautiful. Gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. Couldn't be better.
Beautiful, beautiful. So, you tell us we don't have to wait for Hollywood. We are curious to know about that. But before we go into that, we want to find out, were you born there or did you move there? And how was it growing up?
I was actually born in Connecticut, which is
Okay.
just a state away from Massachusetts. I grew up there, and it was wonderful. It was, suburban town, very nice. Kind of just think about like life in the '80s in a small town. That's kind of what it was.
hmm
But I did want a little bit more. So after college, we moved to Boston, and I stayed in the Boston area ever since. I've been here for about 30 years now.
And then I read something that was quite interesting, and that's what attracted me to have you here. Now, tell us, for you to tell us a few things, that you started a business right after college. How was getting started on a business right after college? And have you always been a businessman, an entrepreneur up to date?
Yeah, I have actually.
Yeah.
I wrote an autobiography that tells my story in detail in a humorous way. But ever since I was like 5 years old, I was an entrepreneur, selling things, making things, going around the neighborhood, trying to get money from the neighbors, and I've been doing it ever since. Except my sales techniques have changed a little bit over the years. I don't just knock on neighbors' doors anymore. Um, but yeah, I've been doing that. And you asked how is it like right after college starting a business? And
Yeah.
really, it's the best time, at least for me. I was in a situation where out of college, I really had no debt. Again, this was maybe 20, 25 years ago when college expenses and costs was nowhere near as crazy as they are now. So I did manage to pay my way through college and pay it off as I went, which was great. So when I got out of college, I had no debt, but I did have two credit cards
Mm,
with about a $1,000 limit, and that was enough to finance my business. And
mm,
that's the best time to take a risk because, geez, when I could easily see when you have kids, when you have a family, and you're stuck in a job, it's a huge risk to stop what you're doing and do something else. But to those people, I say you're not out of luck, because you've got 24 hours in a day. Everybody has 24 hours in a day. As long as you're not working 24 hours a day, just make some time. Wake up a little bit earlier, do something, and then start your business there. And then once that builds up a little bit and you could take that big leap, then consider stopping your job, going back, scaling back, or whatever, and pursuing your own business. So it's a lot easier after college when you have none of that responsibility, but it's certainly not impossible after college.
So, did your first business just pick up, or were there challenges when you started?
Was there a
Did
reason
it
why?
just pick up? It just
Oh yeah,
become
yeah.
successful?
That's
Uh-huh.
it. Just because I wanted to start a business, and I did it. That simple.
Okay. And then at some point you sold it. Why?
Yeah.
And at how much?
Yeah.
Because the
Well,
figures.
I've had many businesses, but my big one was back in 19. It was, well, I sold it in 2001, but I started it in 1995, and
Mhm.
it was a business in something called the internet. You probably heard of it. Back in
I think,
1995, very
yeah.
few people, believe it or not, heard of the World Wide Web and the internet and what it was. It was just reaching people. And
Mhm.
my job at the time was to tell people this thing is going to be very big, and you want to get on, you want a website. And that's what we did. We created websites and sold websites, did hosting for companies,
Mhm.
and we created software that allowed people to create their own website. So it was, they're all over the place today, but we were one of the first people to actually do it. And we had an affiliate program before Amazon had their affiliate program. So back in 1996, we had the first affiliate program where we get people to resell our web hosting, and they would get 25% of the monthly cost. So it was a really good business opportunity for them as well. And then it just exploded with the internet. We just kind of rode the wave, and it was fantastic. And then in 2001, I sold it for 20 million bucks.
20 million
I
bucks.
got to keep most of it. Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
Fortunately, it was, again, I didn't borrow money from other people. It wasn't, I didn't get any investors. It was just all organic growth. So it worked out pretty well there.
Mm. Now you are getting some points there. That's the ding.
Yeah.
That's a point. That's another one. Now,
But
how did you just know that the internet was going to blow up? Just was it?
Well, it wasn't really any kind of psychic ability or anything. I mean, I was there. I was in it. I was experiencing it. I was seeing it blow up. Um,
Okay.
I was seeing the interest of people. I was seeing how it was actually helping businesses, how it was helping my own graphic design business, being able to show my clients the design in full color instantly. Prior to that, a
Mm.
couple of years prior, I'd have to FedEx it out to them, cost a fortune, and they would see it. They wanted to change. I had to FedEx it again, and it was a lot of work. But with this, it's all instant. So I mean, the possibilities of the internet and what it could do were just endless. And I actually saw the number of customers like exponentially grow, and it was an amazing ride.
Mhm. And I'm also curious to know now that you've got this experience, you're doing so many things together. I mean, I couldn't actually tell what are you going to discuss on the episode, because there are a million of things that a boy is doing.
Yeah.
And with the experience and with you foretelling through the experience you were seeing and what you were seeing back then of how the internet was going to be at this point, what do you think is going to blow in the near future?
I don't see anything. I've always been looking for things like I saw with the internet, and there was a couple times in my life when I saw this kind of growth. The first one was the personal computer.
Mm,
You look like a younger guy than I am, but I was born in the early '70s, 72, and I had like one of the first huge PCs that came out. And they were
mm,
extremely basic, and all the dot matrix printers and the the monitor with like the 10 DPI. I mean, it was crazy, but it was a computer, and it was fantastic, and it was so much possibility and so much fun, and I fell in love with that immediately. And that was the first time, and the second time was the internet. That's when I said, yeah, these things are very big. I have to admit that I did kind of miss the social media bubble. That was I think that was early 2010 when Facebook was taken off, and Twitter. Um, I didn't see that explosion like I did with the first two, but it was there, obviously.
Okay.
Maybe I was distracted. Maybe I didn't care. Maybe I just wasn't as in tune as I was years back. But I missed that one. Now I guess people are saying that AI is the next big thing, and I might agree. Um, Obviously, it has a lot of potential, and
Another point.
what it's doing. Ding.
Yeah.
And now, yeah, my kids and family want to have a conversation on text while I'm doing the interview.
Okay.
I can't.
We are going to give that job to the AI sometime soon.
Right. So, yeah, I think AI, there could be something there, but I also think it could be a big thing of nothing. It's one of those technologies that could either go either way.
Mm,
I think like in the future, there's definitely some things. I'll give you a quick example. I've been working with audiobooks for the last 10 years, produce audiobooks. I recorded some of my own for my own books. I did my own audio
mhm,
recording, have a studio, and I use actors and so forth. And there's a lot of AI technology out with narrators and voices, and it sounds good. I mean, compared to the "Hello, my name is Joe, I am the robot's voice," what we were used to 5-10 years ago. I mean, it is completely different, but it's not there. Especially with like acting and reading fiction. It's not there yet, and you could tell something's wrong. Like either this guy is a really bad actor,
mhm,
or it's AI, and of course it's AI. So, and I'm not sure if it could get there very easy.
mm,
It's the difference between knowing the human mind and how it works and how to respond to social situations, the voice inflection, the questions, how to stress certain words. I'm just not seeing that in AI. And the same goes with like a lot of the chat. You could sometimes you can't tell you're talking to a human, but sometimes you can.
mm.
We'll see.
Yeah, yeah, I feel that, and I understand. I have this kind of the same sentiments on that area. Uh, and we can admit that they are doing quite a pretty job
Hmm.
in it, and we don't know which direction is going to be. So at first, I was very excited when I was experiencing ChatGPT, and then I came to realize, oh, it can't tell me who's the current president of my country.
You're like,
No, it can't. It doesn't know because
wow.
it's not up to date.
Yeah.
So it's like 2 years behind. So will they catch up? I don't know. We're gonna leave that to the future.
But that's
We will
still
see.
it's still factual information. It could
Yeah.
it's not processing, and I think
Mhm.
that's where the disconnect is, or that's where like once it could get to that point, and of course it's like once it could get to self learning, then we're all in
Mhm.
trouble, and that's the singularity. That's what people are either looking forward to or afraid of, depending on where you sit on that argument. I really have no horse in the game. I have no opinion on that. Either a
Okay.
world explodes or everything is paradise. Who knows?
We'll see. Who knows? You talk about telling your story in a humorous way, and I'm curious because I saw that you find humor in everything, and the world is stressed. They can't even laugh at a simple joke. So how do you manage?
Yeah,
How do you manage to find humor in just about everything?
yeah.
And
It's whether it's a personality trait. You mentioned one of the things I do. Also, I'm a social psychologist, and I love to study human behavior and cognition, and then that branches off on a whole the logical side, logical fallacies, cognitive biases, and so forth. But one of the questions that's still completely unanswered is what part of yourself is like certain traits, and the ability to be optimistic, the ability to find humor in different situations where other people might see disaster or pain or
Mhm.
anger. Um, is that a learned trait, or is that innate in some way? And I mean, mostly it's kind of settled as of now that whenever you ask that question, it's not a one or the other. It's usually it's a mix of the two. Some of it is
Mhm.
genetic, and some of it is learned. And the exact balance, well, that takes a lot of study and research, and that's not known for everything, but for some things. Um, so I always, like, our family was always about humor and always laughed, and I always enjoy laughing and making other people laugh. So that's just kind of who I am. And one of the side effects of that is sometimes, especially nowadays, with people being extremely sensitive about a lot of different topics,
Mhm.
if you take the risk to make people laugh, you could offend twice as many people as you make laugh. So
That,
the
that's
the, uh, the ongoing challenge is to find that point, like
mhm.
just under the line. You don't want to cross the line. You want to go just underneath the line, and that of course involves a lot of like knowing your audience, knowing who you're talking to, knowing what they believe, what they stand for, what their humor is, like knowing as much about them as possible. And then another part of it, which I'm sure we're going to talk about, is like when writing a movie, a sitcom, a humorous book, or something like that. Uh, you have to write to a specific audience. You have to know that not everybody is going to like this. Not everybody is going to find humor in it, and you have to be okay with that. There are very few generic comedians or generic humorists that reach pretty much everybody. Um, there are some people who are extremely good at it, like Jerry Seinfeld, one of the classics from the '90s. His humor, Jim Gaffigan today. These people, Brian Regan is another favorite of mine. Most people will listen to these comedians and or just their humor. Let's not just talk about the comedian as delivery by voice, but just their humor, and they'll find it humorous. Now, I
Mhm.
have spoken with people who said, you know what, I don't think Jerry Seinfeld's that funny. Some of the things he says is funny, but and it blows my mind. Like, how could you not? I mean, it's brilliance when it's comedic brilliance, but
Mhm.
but I understand that not everybody has the same sense of humor, and that's okay. So you when delivering humor, when writing humor, you really just got to think about your audience, do your best, and if you don't make some people laugh, or even if you offend some people or piss some people off, hey, that's okay. That's going to happen. It's part of the game.
Nobody, nobody's gonna like everything that you do or say.
Right. That's right.
Yeah. What do you find humorous so far in our interview?
Well, my bird quieted down, so that's good. That was kind of funny at first, and now that the fact that everybody wants to text me right now, and here's what I'm going to say. I'm going to say, please stop
Yeah.
for texting for a few minutes while I am in an interview. Thanks. There we go.
And the birds got tired.
And we'll see if they listen.
Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Yeah, as I said, there is so much that we can talk about with you because you've quite a great experience on many different areas of life. How many books have you written
I've
so far?
written, I say like a little over a dozen books. I don't do an exact count because some of the books that I've written are they're like booklets. They're very small, and they
Okay.
are published, but I don't count those because that would take me
Hmm.
like well over 20, almost 30. But over a dozen like serious books, thick books, thick enough.
Okay. Is there are they novels? Do we apart from your mama, which I guess could be turned into a movie?
Yeah, no, the
Yeah.
all of my books are generally in the nonfiction, um, psychology, learning genres,
Hmm.
except for except for my autobiography called A Mostly Magnificent Memoir. And
Mm-hmm.
it's mostly nonfiction, but it's a fictionalized. I call it a fictionalized biography because I've taken all the serious points and all the completely 100% true stories that's all in my book. However, in order to make it more entertaining, I've added like little facts that really don't mean anything, little jokes, little things of humor. I changed some names, changed some timeline events and stuff, but all of the main stories are completely true, and everything that's important basically is true,
Mm-hmm.
except for the things that are that connect everything.
Okay, that's good. Tell us about this book that I saw, a book known as Year to Success. What about it?
Year to Success. I wrote that book right after I sold my company, my of significant value, that one I mentioned earlier. Um,
Mm-hmm.
Basically, what I wanted to do is I wanted to uh, leave something for my kids. I wanted to tell them like everything I know and put
Mm-hmm.
everything down. And then it just turned out to be like a really good generic a book, like for anybody. Anybody would love this. So I actually made it a book, and that was the first book that I published. So it's a huge book, 740 pages plus or something, and it's full of ideas and all practical ideas too. Nothing that's like hype and the whole self help industry annoys me. I've been um, consuming self help material since age 10, and you can read about that in my book too. And it's funny. I learned a lot from it. I learned like a lot of people, like a lot of these success authors will write about how they became successful, and therefore you could too. And that's
Mm-hmm.
just simply not the case. And if
Mm-hmm.
it were the case, then everybody would duplicate just somebody's success, and that would be the end of it. Uh, just because somebody did something, like I was at the right place at the right time. I was there in 1995, started an internet company. I can't say to everybody, oh, you could do the same thing. Anybody could start a company like that. No, you can't. I was in the
Mm-hmm.
right place at the right time. It was circumstantial. Um, could anybody have done it then? No, because I was one of the few people who did it. So it's not just being in the right place at the right time. There's a lot more to it, and that's what I put in the book. But I left out all those things that people tell you that just are not true. Like anybody could do anything. That's not the case.
So what are the main areas that you could talk about that? I mean, on that about what should we do? What should someone go after? In
Well, if I had to narrow everything down, I think it would come down to like desire, persistence, contentment. Like desire, you have to really want it. A lot of
mm,
people say like, "Oh, that would be great if I had this," but that's it. That's where it ends. I mean, when you really want it. You get up at 3 o'clock in the morning with ideas. You can't wait to get up in the morning and start doing work. And I mean, this is how I live my life. Like every morning I get up at 4, just because I can't stand sleeping. It's just so boring.
mm,
I want to get up. There's so many things I want to do, so many things that just excite me. And that's what
mhm.
gets me up. It's not insomnia. It's not worrying about things. It's that excitement. And if you don't have that, then you got to keep looking. You got to keep looking for something that will kind of ignite that within you. So that, like, desire is very important. Contentment is something important as well. The reason that I kind of stopped with the whole money thing after
Mhm,
I sold my first company of significant value is because that was pretty much it for me. I didn't want to take that and start a $1 billion company and be like a billionaire. It just, I didn't care anymore. I
mm,
had what I wanted. I had a new family, and we were traveling, and we lived in a beautiful house, and like everything was just fine. So I kind of reached contentment, which was fine for me. But some people will reach contentment at a level that they're really not happy with. Like they always know that they could get more, they want more, but they're content. And if you have contentment, that's one of the biggest enemies of success. or moving forward. So when I say I'm content now, what I mean by that is I'm content with my financial success. I'm not content with what I've done. I always want to do more. I always want to keep building. I want to keep creating, and I don't think I'll ever be content with what I have done in my life. I want more. I want to do more. But when it comes to money, I was fine with that, and that's probably why I'm not a billionaire today. It's just because it doesn't interest me. And I think a lot of people are like that. A lot of people are happy and content with their income, whatever it may be, and they may not realize that. But so is contentment a good thing? Is it a bad thing? It depends how you look at it.
Okay. So let's go into making a movie.
Okay, yeah. We got 5 minutes, right?
How to wait for Hollywood. Yeah, you can have as many as you want now.
All right.
Yeah. Why these? Why do we have to mention Hollywood?
All right. So one of the ideas that I had a while ago was an idea for a sitcom. And again, I just love making myself laugh. So I started just writing down notes and creating these characters, and it was just really funny. And then I shared it with like a good friend of mine, and he absolutely loved it. So we kind of started brainstorming together. And then it came the decision, let's really do this. I had to learn screenwriting. I had to learn about like writing a sitcom and what that's all about and formatting correctly. So I learned everything I could about it, and I did it. I ended up writing a whole season, 10 episodes. And then I was just kind of stuck, like, okay, what do I do with it? I'm like, all right, well, I could put it into a book. So I did that. I put it into a book format, and it really didn't take off. Not only did it take off, it didn't even sell that well. I think nobody wants to read a sitcom in a book format, but that was pretty much the only way I could get it out at the time I could think of. And then COVID hit, and same story with everybody. Everything kind of slows down, and then but recently, I really wanted to make this thing work. I want to get this out here, and I did put it on a whole bunch of sites where producers go to look at scripts, and it did end up winning. I joined contests. It did end up winning a finalist in the Big Apple Film Festival screenplay edition, and that was 2021. It won as a finalist in there, so that gave me a lot of street cred. Even though I got the street cred, Hollywood still didn't come knocking. I was waiting for all these Universal Studios to call me and Fox, but didn't happen, which is common. But I didn't want to just keep waiting. So I said, all right, I'm going to do this myself. And I didn't want to put a heck of a lot of money in it, but I did have a little bit of money to invest. So I looked for animators because it's an animated comedy. So I did some shopping around, and I went through several different animators over like a couple of years, and they all failed. Either the quality was terrible or it just didn't work. They quit on me, they closed shop, whatever. So I ended up doing the animation myself. I found software, I learned it. With the help of somebody to get me started, I learned all about it. And I've done 5 episodes so far. Episode number 5 drops today. I loaded it on YouTube, which is just getting started. But then I'm also, hopefully by the end of the week, it'll all be on Amazon Prime, where people could buy it for $2.99 an episode. But here's a hint: while it's on YouTube, go YouTube and you can watch it for free. So this is a way that I was just sick of waiting for Hollywood to come to me. So I basically took it out to, well, not really Hollywood, but took it out to the people directly. And now I'm just going to push with the marketing. That's my next step, and just really get it out there. I think it's a hilarious comedy about a fitness center in a suburban area. I spent my life ever since like 10 years old at different gyms, mostly in suburban areas. And there's just like so many funny things that happen at gyms in fitness centers. So it was just the experience of basically my whole life of all things that happen at the gym. and created these characters around it, unethical characters, politically divisive characters, like of people who are on one side of the spectrum and the other, and they're arguing about issues. So it's interesting and funny. And what I've done is I've incorporated a lot of critical thinking and logic and reason into these episodes to do my best which is my primary goal. All my books are about really like educating people with critical thinking. So these videos and this sitcom does that in a humorous way.
That's cool. You didn't wait for Hollywood, but do you imagine sometime in the future still Hollywood comes knocking on your door?
Oh, I hope so. I hope so, because they definitely have more money than I do, and they've got the audience, they've got the marketing, and that's what it's about. It's I could do it. I could get it out there, and I'm sure I'm going to have my own small audience, a small cult following who absolutely loves it. But if you really want to get it out there in a big way, and I do this with this in mind. I know that if I get a large enough following, Hollywood will start to notice. The right producers and people will start to notice. One of my influences is the Karate Kid. Not the original movies, but Cobra Kai, like the one that recently picked up. That it's an amazing show. I absolutely love it. Really well written, and for those of you who are grown up in the '80s, very nostalgic too. There's a lot of nostalgia in there. Great characters. But anyway, the point is that was originally released on YouTube. Like no studio picked it up. It was just like an independent that did that on YouTube, independent studio or somebody. And then next thing you know, it was on Netflix, and it completely skyrocketed. Netflix noticed it and made a deal with them. So I think that's what a lot of studios do. They're sick. And this, by the way, is some really good advice for anybody trying to pitch a movie, trying to pitch a book. If you're an author, again, I've been in the publishing industry for 10 years now, helping authors promote their books through my other company, bookmarketing.pro. And I could tell you that people are sick, and these publishing houses and studios, they're sick of hearing all these pitches and people thinking that they've got the best book in the world, the best movie in the world. They don't believe it. They don't want to hear it. And they have a right not to believe it, because 99.9% of the people who say that have written books or produced movies that really aren't that great, really aren't that interesting. It's interesting to them. And I say this for me too. I've written 12 books, and I could tell you that out of the 12 books I've written, I know one of them does very well. The audience, the market responded to one book very well. That's the Logically Fallacious book. And the Year to Success book, that's probably number 2 on the list. That has a good response. But the rest of them, not so much. A small audience. The way to do this is you need to really push it yourself. And with self-publishing, you get it out there. And if it gets a lot of hits on Amazon, a lot of sales, then publishing houses will notice. I've seen this plenty of times where big publishing houses go to the authors because they found their book on Amazon. They see the traction it's getting, and they want to take it over, and they want to take it to the next level. The same thing goes with Hollywood. If you have like something on YouTube, something publicly, if you think it's really good, put it out there. Like do your best to get it out there, produce it. Even if it's like a low budget version, just get it out there and see how the market responds. If they respond favorably to it, then almost certainly Hollywood will come knocking. But you don't have to wait for Hollywood.
Yeah, and we wish the best for you. We wish that it comes knocking.
Me too.
As we go on doing what we are doing, I just pray that someone notices this podcast and says, "Hey, Anthony,
hey, we want you to host CNN.
We'll be on CNN." Right. So I just keep on putting it out there.
Let's keep doing it.
But more than that, there's many people who are getting some great value from the podcast. So I keep on giving it out there. Whether it gets to CNN, BBC, or whatever it is, or whether it doesn't, someone out there has got some help, some value from it. Yeah. And that's the purpose. That's the purpose of it. Now, the question is, what would you like to accomplish, or are you already in your sitcom going to Hollywood, or any other big places out there? What are the goals?
Well, I guess they're multifold. One, I understand that a lot of really good movies, really good sitcoms are kind of what they call like cult classics. And these have like a small but passionate following. And I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that.
Mm,
If I could make a group of, thousands of people absolutely laugh and love my work, that's good. Um, would I like to do more? Yes. What I don't want to do is, let's say, uh, what I've written and produced doesn't have generic appeal because maybe, let's say, it's a little bit too edgy, a little bit too divisive, a little bit too this. But if you tone it down a little bit, you'll get a wider audience. I'm not interested in that, and the reason
mm,
being is because it's not going to be that good. I'd rather have an amazing product that a smaller group of people really appreciate than kind of like a generic, um, you know, 1990s sitcom, not like Friends or Seinfeld. I mean, those were total classics, but there's something that you probably even forgot today that you can't even name because it did okay and it reached a lot of people, but it was nothing fantastic. It was nothing
mm,
spectacular.
mm.
Which, by the way, even Seinfeld said there's no way that his sitcom would ever be able to air today in today's cultural environment, social
Mm,
environment. There's no way with the things that
yeah.
they did and said. Um, but that was that was him. He took the chance. He did put some things in there that were very edgy, very risky, absolutely hilarious to most people, but
Mm,
maybe not so funny to other people. But that's the way it goes. Um,
mm,
so that would be one goal to get it out there. And I understand too. There are a lot of movies that I really enjoy that that are classics today. Like one that comes to mind is the movie Office Space, and
mhm,
that kind of comedy is one of my favorite too. Office Space by Mike Judge. Again, it was kind of like an obscure, edgy, a little bit. I don't know, but it was independent, but kind of low budget movie that when it was released, it didn't do very well. I mean, it definitely
mm,
was not a blockbuster. It was just like, okay, I don't even know if it made the silver screen, but years later, it developed this cult following, and more than a cult following, because people get to see the humor in it, and it
mm,
just took a while. And I'm okay with that kind of success too. And then of course there's the other kind where Hollywood sees it and absolutely loves it, and it's on a major network or something, or on Netflix picks it up or whatever. I'm okay with that. I don't want to wait 20 years or wait till after I'm dead, like artists for people to really appreciate their work.
yeah, as we said, we can't exhaust what you can share with us. Now we've gone into artists, but our time is over.
All right.
Our time is over, but we really appreciate you taking your time and being with us here,
Thank you.
and everything that you shared with us. We really appreciate that. And I'm just thinking that there could be someone who's watching here and could be interested in connecting with you. How can they do that?
You go to my website, bobennett.com. That's BOBENNETT.com. That's the best way to do it.
Okay, that's wonderful. So everyone who's listening, go to bobennett.com and connect with Bo, and find out what else he didn't tell us, because there's quite a lot that he didn't tell us here.
That's right.
Yes. Before we go, I will ask Bo to leave us with a few words that we should always remember. Which are they?
A few ideas,
A few words
a
that
few
we should
words.
all remember. Yeah.
Okay. A few words that you should always remember. I think I'd like to go back to, I mentioned two of the things. I talked about determination, and I talked about contentment. I
Hmm.
want to a desire and contentment. I want to talk about just persistence. I think the few words would just be just persist, keep on persisting, because that's what it takes.
Wow. Keep on persisting. I'll keep on persisting. So now we are signing out of this episode, but very soon you're going to see the next one, because I need to keep on persisting.
All right. Well, good luck with that.
Thank you very much, Bo. We really appreciate it. It's been an honor having you on our show.
Thank you. Nice speaking with you. Thanks for having me.
Yes. Yes, this has been Now Tell Us, and I've been your host, Anthony Morori. And together with our guest today, Bo Bennett, we are saying, go on, keep on persisting, and bye for now.